now know the date and place of former President Donald Trump's criminal trial for his alleged mishandling of classified documents. The trial will take place at the federal courthouse in Fort Pierce.
We have team coverage tonight. Terry Parker takes a look at security measures being taken ahead of the trial. We begin with our co-anchor Todd McDermott with a closer look at today's decision. Todd.
Felicia, Tiffany, U.S. District Court Judge Aileen Cannon set August 14th as the start date for former President Trump's criminal trial for alleged mishandling of classified documents. That means pretrial hearings concerning the jury trial to come would happen in about a month. But to be very clear, an August trial is still very unlikely. And even the federal court in Fort Pierce is the place for it is no sure thing, according to the judge herself in the order she issued today. While it's unknown how many days the trial will take, the judge blocked off 2 weeks for it. All pretrial motions would have to be filed by July 24th, just over a month from now. All these dates will likely be pushed back because of the case's complexities and the issues related to classified information and motions to delay that could come from the former president's defense team. Judge Cannon scheduled the trial to take place in her Fort Pierce courtroom instead of the Miami courtroom in the federal courthouse there, where Donald Trump was indicted just last week. The former president charged with 31 counts of mishandling top secret documents under the Espionage Act after he left office, and 6 more counts related to obstructing the investigation into the taking of the documents. Key portion of Special Counsel Jack Smith's indictment of the former president centers on that 2021 audio recording of the former president. In his own words, prosecutors say it captures Trump showing and discussing details of what he calls secret information related to classified material he apparently has in his hand at the time. Trump allegedly is heard saying, as president, I could have declassified, but now I can't. That's actually heard on the recording. But Donald Trump told Fox News last night he was not referring to an actual document.
I didn't have a document per se. There was nothing to declassify. These were newspaper stories, magazine stories, and articles.
As we've reported, the likelihood of a trial starting so soon does really remain in serious question. Donald Trump's defense attorneys can make motions to have certain pieces of evidence excluded from the trial. Trump's attorneys can also move to have the case dismissed or ask for a change of venue. Trump's attorneys also being asked to get property security clearance. That process could take time. And remember, his entire legal team is not yet in place. Tiffany?
Todd, thank you. Right now, law enforcement in Fort Pierce and across St. Lucie County are making sure that everything is ready for the potential arrival of the former president. Investigative reporter Terry Parker spoke with law enforcement about being ready for the upcoming trial.
With such an historic event happening here in Fort Pierce, of course, security will be a great concern. We spoke to several agencies who will be in charge of that role. They all say they'll do whatever it takes to make sure everyone is safe.
The trial tentatively set here at the Alto Lee Adams Senior Courthouse, the home base of District Judge Aileen Cannon, who will preside over Mr. Trump's trial. It is the U.S. Marshals Services whose primary responsibility is protection of federal judicial process, and a spokesman tells me we take that responsibility very seriously, ensuring that judges can rule independently, free from harm and intimidation. There had been speculation the trial would stay in Miami due to possible better security, but Judge Cannon, assigned to the case, has it scheduled for August 14th here in Fort Pierce.
If the security can be had at the court up there, and there's no indication that there will be any security problem, I mean, that's where Judge Cannon's courtroom is.
Protecting the outside of the courthouse, the streets and surrounding areas would fall first to the Fort Pierce Police Department. The chief telling us, we will be working with our law enforcement and federal partners to assure the safety of our citizens and visitors during the trial. But with large crowds, possible protests, and a former president to help protect, it is likely the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office would be tapped to help.
From what we've seen, historically in his arraignment in New York City and then again in Miami, there is the possibility of challenges for law enforcement keeping the peace. But in both of those venues, there was very, very minimal disobedience, civil disobedience, and I think that's the way it will play out here in Fort Pierce also.
And the U.S. Marshal spokesman tells me that they have not yet gotten definitive word that the trial will be held here, so they haven't started making their plan yet, but are ready to gear up at any moment. In Fort Pierce, Terry Parker, WPBF 25 News.
Terry, thank you. Our coverage of the Trump documents case is just beginning. We'll have more on the key dates coming up at 5:30. And make sure you have our WPBF 25 News app downloaded. You can also turn on push alerts to have the very latest information sent directly to your phone.